Sup, freaks? It's your boy Marty Bent here to introduce this episode of Tales from the Crypt. Matt Odell and I sat down with Ben Kaufman, a young stud out of Israel, working on the Specter Wallet. That's what we talked about, the Specter Wallet. Shit posting, a bunch of other stuff. The future is bright. The youths are all right. At least some of them are. Ben is, at least. This episode is brought to you by good friends at the motherfucking Cash App. Cash App's helping you stack sats, send sats, receive sats, and sell sats, if you so please. We're saying sats because you make sats a standard. What the hell are sats? Some of you new freaks may be asking. Well, sats is short for satoshis. And satoshis are the smallest denomination of a Bitcoin. One Bitcoin can be broken up into 100 million satoshis. So instead of buying a fraction of a Bitcoin, we're stacking sats, whole sats, tens of sats, hundreds of sats, thousands of sats, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions if you're a baller. And Cash App makes that very easy. On top of that, you can stack slivers of stonks if you so please. If you're into the stonk market, Cash App investing is allowing you to buy as little as $1 of a stonk. And because all of this is connected to your bank account, there's no 4 to 5 day waiting periods. You can start stacking today. Cash App may even be your bank account. They're offering account numbers and routing numbers for you freaks so you can get your paychecks direct deposited into the app, start stacking sats immediately. Little Birdie told me there's going to be a new way to stack sats on the app too. Look out for it. It may have something to do with their boost program, which allows you to go to partner merchants and save a little bit of money. On top of that, you can DCA into sats if you want to, dollar cost average. Set it and forget it, daily, weekly, bi-weekly. I don't know where Matt Odell front running time is at this point, but just set up the DCA and try to front run them. We're just throwing darts at the wall at this point. The last I heard was like 4:30 a.m. East Coast time. So good luck to anybody trying to pinpoint that time. All right. Use the code Stacking Sats when you download the Cash App. You're going to get $10, and $10 is going to go to our good friends at Owls Lacrosse. That's Owls Lacrosse. Woo! Download the Cash App and enjoy this episode with Ben Kaufman. Again, a young thug, a young stud. You decide. Okay.
You've had a dynamic where money's become freer than free.
If you talk about a Fed just gone nuts, all the central banks going nuts.
So it's all acting like safe haven.
I believe that in a world where central bankers are tripping over themselves to devalue their currency, Bitcoin wins. In the world of fiat currencies, Bitcoin is the victor.
I mean, that's part of the bull case for Bitcoin.
If you're not paying attention, you probably should be.
What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Tales from the Crypt. It's your boy Marty Bent here. Friday afternoon, ending the week. I think it's going to be a fun podcast. Matt, what do you think?
Hyped for this one.
Yeah, we've been talking about this product for quite some time on RHR. It's about time we got somebody who's actually working on this project on the podcast. Matt has described it as the best all-in-one node multisig wallet Bitcoin home base that he's encountered in quite a while. We're sitting down with Ben Kaufman, unlicensed programmer working on likely illegal technology in the form of Specter. Ben, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. I know it's a bit late there in Israel, but I'm really excited to talk. Again, we've been talking about what you've been working on for quite some time. We just mentioned before we hit record that you set a personal goal for yourself in September to have Specter as a user-friendly option for people looking to run a node and set up multi-sig wallets and basically have control and confidence in their stash of sats. So before we get into Specter, what it is, how it works, what you guys plan on building in the future, let's learn about you a little bit. How'd you get into Bitcoin first, and then what led you towards working on Specter specifically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So I started with Bitcoin around early 2017, late 16, something like that. Just heard about it from a friend who wanted to ask some technical question. Knew I was a developer, so wanted to ask maybe I know something about that. So that kind of got me curious. And then it's just going through the usual rabbit hole journey. So starting to read about it for like a few weeks, pretty much nonstop. Then obviously going also into shitcoins, stuff like that for some time, getting out of it, and yeah. So it's kind of like the usual story, I guess.
Yeah, the cycle. Everybody goes through it. What type of development were you doing before you got into Bitcoin?
Yeah, so I was working mostly mobile development. I was doing pretty much everything as freelancer, but mostly mobile development.
Okay, cool. And what was the impetus for you to be like, all right, I want to start building stuff for Bitcoin? I want to start working on Specter Wallet specifically. Have you worked on anything before Specter?
So nothing much in Bitcoin. I did a few contributions to BISC, which was nice. For that, and maybe, I don't know, maybe something minor here and there, but nothing really specifically. Just wrote a couple of articles more about economics with Bitcoin. And then just around February, maybe March, I just I just stumbled upon Specter just from Twitter. I saw a video of Stepan making a multisig with it, and it was just so awesome. I had to try it myself, and I just tried it and just was blown away by how easy it was compared to using Electrum or something like that. So then I was just, I had to use that for myself. I started playing with it immediately, and just saw a few things that I would wish to improve from myself. So like labeling of UTXOs, management also of UTXOs, avoiding address reuse, so all kinds of basic stuff that I really wanted for myself there. And then I just started like implementing this, making small contributions to the project. And from then it just basically escalated to where it is today.
And it's Matt Odell's one of his favorite projects in the space. So it's escalated to a good spot if it's a barometer for success.
It's more than that. I fucking use it all the time. It's fucking fantastic, dude. You guys really built something great over there. I mean, you mentioned Electrum. Like to anyone who's ever used Electrum, it's just such a huge step forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I loved it when I first used it.
And so I guess, again, like I said before we hit record, let's try and explain it like it's like I'm 5 for the freaks. Like, why is Specter better than Electrum? Like, what are you guys doing differently than Electrum that makes it easier to use and less clunky?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the main difference in the architecture is that we connect directly to the Bitcoin core node. So I'm not going through an Electrum server or something like that. So Electrum, the architecture is that people are running Electrum servers, either Electrum X, Elector X, whatever. And people either connect to remote servers and are just trusting them, or they can set up their own Electrum personal server or whatever and use that. And in Specter, what we did is that we have the Bitcoin core itself, and we just connect to it and we use it directly. So we don't, you have to, like, the disadvantage, I would say, is that you have to run your own node, but the advantage is that you use your own node, which is awesome. So this is like the first main difference, I'd say. Besides, I think the user interface is quite nicer, at least personally. I'd say it's much nicer with Specter. And yeah, that's like the main differences. I think also with Specter we are more I would say, agile. So we're moving quite faster, I'd say, with updates, with changes. So yeah, I think these are the main differences.
Just to be clear here for the freaks, like the game changer here is you were always able with Electrum. The default was to connect to someone else's node. These professional hosted Electrum nodes that you don't know who's you're connecting to, but you were able to use your own node, and by using your own node, instead of connecting to the Bitcoin network through someone else's node who can see all your transactions, you connect with your own. With Electrum, that was always the way more difficult option. But with Specter, you simply just install Bitcoin Core on the same exact computer as Specter, and it just automatically does everything. It just works.
So, I guess with that being said, like, how does the hardware component of this come in? So when you say connect to your node, what do you recommend an individual user run their node on? They just download on their laptop, SSH into that?
It really doesn't matter, I guess. So obviously it's better to run a non-pruned node rather than a pruned one, but it doesn't matter that much. So it's infinitely better to run a pruned node than to not run a node at all. So, and with pruned node, you can do this practically everywhere. So we have even a user running Specter and the Bitcoin Core node on a Pine phone. So just everything on a phone, basically. You can run it pretty much anywhere. Personally, I have it on my computer, on my laptop, basically, that I take everywhere. I also have it on a desktop at home. I know a lot of people find Umbrel or MyNode, Raspberry Blitz, all these solutions pretty convenient. And I played with them. I think they're great. But yeah, I think it really doesn't matter as long as you just do it. There are so many options.
Yeah, and just like you have node options, you can sort of pick and choose where you want to run your node. What I really like about Spectre particularly is that you guys are building the hardware component of it with off-the-shelf parts, which just allows individuals to go on Amazon or wherever they buy these computer parts, connect them together, and have this device ready to go, which is a significant decrease in the supply chain risks that a lot of people talk about a lot when it comes to Bitcoin dedicated hardware. So that was one thing I really liked when Moritz was at Bitcoin 2019, and he just like was carrying around a Spectre wallet in his backpack and just like taking it apart and like, yeah, you can buy these parts online and connect them together afterwards, which is really cool to me. And so just to dive into that, like what is necessary off the shelf and what are the advantages to allowing individuals to build a Specter wallet in this fashion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is another project which may be confusingly also called Specter, which is also under this
Crypto Advance.
Yeah, under Crypto Advance. So there is Specter Desktop, which is the software wallet. There is the hardware project, which is Specter DIY, which is also really awesome by itself. It just takes a few off-the-shelf parts, just a developer board, a QR code scanner, and you can use battery, like whatever battery you want. You can add. Now we just launched this these extra shells with the card readers. So there is also, so this is less DIY-ish, but allows a secure element.
This is really cool. Let's dive into the card reader specifically,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why did you guys decide to add that component, and like how does it help? Again, you just mentioned the secure element there, but you never think that you'd like put a card reader on a Bitcoin hardware device and help it add security. I think that particular piece of the puzzle is extremely cool.
Yeah, I think so. Stefan is thinking all that is like the mad genius scientist there, and he came up with the idea basically of just using this these cards to do that. So it's also I guess the advantages are that it's very like composable. So you can either add that or you don't add that, whatever you want. It's very convenient, so you can masquerade it so as like whatever McDonald's membership card or whatever you want. So you can carry it everywhere in your wallet as some McDonald's card, I don't know, airline card, whatever. You can print on that, and it's basically a secure element like any other hardware wallet uses. Maybe if it's interesting, so it's the secure element is closed source because all secure elements are closed source. The applets which we're using for it are open source, but the environment where it runs, so the secure element itself, is closed source. But you can get these cards, the cards themselves you can get from everywhere. It's off the shelf thing that you can just buy. The card reader specifically is to connect it with this developer's kit, the board basically. You need this special card reader that we just launched. So the problem is just that not a lot of people use this developer board anyway. So making the card reader wasn't needed by anybody. So nobody did that before for off the shelf. So this is something we had to do ourselves. But this essentially just gives you the security, the added security of a secure element, if that's what you want. With basically something which is with just something which can be completely separated from the hardware wallet. So if you want, you can just split it to a hardware wallet somewhere and the card somewhere else, or the card carried with you and the wallet itself locked somewhere, or whatever you want. And yeah, and it gives you pretty great, at least allegedly, because the card is closed source, but pretty great security, physical security. Yeah, and with the benefits of still doing all the rest of the stuff from off-the-shelf components if you want.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you mentioned the QR code scanner too is a critical piece of that hardware stack. And we talk about PSBT a lot here too. I'm sort of ignorant to this. Is the hardware PSBT only, air gapped?
Yeah, so it works with PSBT standard. So PSBT is just the fancy name for how you offer like a standard of Bitcoin transactions. So it's really simple. It's just a Bitcoin transaction in a standardized format which everybody is supposed to work with. Currently, Specter DIY works with it. Cold Card, Kobo, Ledger, and Trezor don't work with it directly, but there is this tool written by Andrew Cho, HWI, so this hardware wallet interface, which kind of translates PSBTs to a format which even they can work with. So there is.
No, go ahead.
No, so you have basically full compatibility with PSBT and all the wallets in the market.
Yeah, I was just going to mention earlier this year when, was it Trezor who pushed an upgrade that sort of borked the HWI and pissed Andrew Chow off?
Yeah. So it was really nice, something annoying. So there was this, I'm pretty sure it was Trezor which made the upgrade first. So with the problem is that with SegWit, you don't know that you could send transactions without the full inputs, the full input transactions, and basically then you couldn't verify the amount of the change sent on the device itself. So let me see if I can explain it more simply. So what you could do is that you could trick the hardware wallet to sign 2 transactions. If you try like 2 times, the hardware wallet could sign transaction which in one time signs for 1 input. So let's say you have 2 inputs for a transaction. If you sign them, an attacker could basically send to the hardware wallet the transaction once with a valid output for one of the inputs and a change which is invalid basically. Send it a second time with and just switch that to. It's hard to explain a bit, but you basically could trick the hardware wallet to send a transaction with invalid change amount. And Trezor, to fix that, they just required, okay, now you have to send the full transaction data. So all the inputs data, you have to send it to the wallet itself, which is just super large, and it just wasn't standardized. And Core also had an issue with that. So it was possible with the PSBT format, but not in the form which Core did it. So it was a whole mess, kind of, and it still a bit is. But yeah, that's another story.
And then there's a whole nother quirk that we're seeing with the Trezor One wallets, right? Because of the passphrase vulnerability, so it creates a user experience there.
Yeah, so I think it was Shift Crypto, right? The Bitbox guys, which discovered that. So that what an attacker could do is that while the device was connected and passphrase was enabled, the attacker could set the passphrase to whatever it wants without the user knowing that. So basically, it could just completely change the wallet without the user even knowing about this change, and then he could ransom the user for the money. So he could trick the user into sending to an address which technically belongs to him, but which he can't access without the attacker, which would create a ransom situation. And what happens now is that the Trezor One requires you to enter the passphrase every time you do an operation there, at least with HWI. So you have to manually confirm on the device that you want to use such and such passphrase for every operation, for every key extraction, for everything, puppy extraction. I
was going to say, so just so I understand this correctly, you have a Trezor hardware wallet, you have an XPub, and a hacker could get into the wallet, potentially create a passphrase on another XPub, trick you to sending your coins to an address with that XPub, and then force you to put your seed phrase in, and they have the passphrase that would allow you to move the coins. No?
Yeah, so for example, I would give an example if Specter was malicious, for example. So we would show you this, an address, which technically, a receiving address, which technically belongs to your wallet, but it is also locked with a certain passphrase. So it is your wallet with an extra passphrase, and from that we would derive this address, okay? And then you would obviously, if you validate this on the hardware wallet, we could still use that that passphrase in order to show it on the device itself. So you would still the device would show it correctly as it belongs to it, even though it's with a passphrase. You wouldn't know that. And then what could happen is that Specter could just you would send the coins, and then you come to spend, and then you need a passphrase in order to spend, and then you could ransom the user for that.
What I'm trying to figure out is why the attacker can't move the coins, because they would need.
It's a ransom attack. The attacker doesn't have the key. The attacker doesn't have the private key.
Exactly. So they need them to put it in.
They're just tricking you into a different passphrase, a different 25th word, right? Because that creates a whole new wallet. So they know where it's located, but they don't actually have the key to spend it.
Yeah, and an HD setup, it's just in another XPub that they hide it in and then trick you to send to. And then they say, hey, if you want to move this, you need to sign. And guess what? I'm going to move it to an address I control.
Well, like we'll do a transaction. We'll do a transaction if you give me a portion of it.
Yeah,
is the idea. It's theoretical. It never actually happened. And it's kind of moot. The point here, though, is both me and Ben have had people reach out asking, why it's such a bitch to use the Trezor One on Specter, and it's because the Trezor One is this old device that doesn't have a big screen or anything, and you can't. It's really difficult. I don't think period you can't enter the passphrase on the device.
No, you can't. This is
so the solution there is to get a new wallet. Like, you shouldn't use a wallet that's from whenever Trezor One came out.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't think Trezor One is a good choice anymore. Yeah. It's completely outdated in pretty much any way.
Sorry, Trezor. But no, I think this could lead us to an interesting conversation. It's like, what do you think the future of hardware wallets are? Something like a do-it-yourself Specter hardware wallet. Do you think that's the safest route?
So I think it's a lot about also, or at least somewhat about the regulations also. So if you will have certain stronger regulations on self-hosted wallets, then you would probably need more of the DIY direction. If not, then maybe you'd have large companies still like Ledger or others in the field still doing that. But I do think that it's going to more towards first of all QR codes. Also I also think that it goes to larger screens probably, like Kobo also did. And obviously also for air gapping, so not connecting directly to the machine.
Yeah, we've talked about QR codes before on this podcast, but I think we've glossed over it. I think it's probably a good refresher of why it makes sense to transition to a communication system based on QR codes, and how that's being standardized at the moment. Who is it? Christopher Allen and Blockchain Commons work.
Christopher Allen is working on the standard. So I think he's kind of leading that right now. So we are on it. The Blue Wallet guys, I also recall, are also working on supporting that stuff. Kobo there, I think also Sparrow Wallet. And I think it's going towards that. And so the nice thing is that we have this concept of animated QR codes, which is just really makes it really convenient to scan large amounts of data. So, for example, I just wanted to test the limits of the camera a few weeks ago. So I created on RegTest some huge transaction of 100 outputs, and I could scan it in a few in probably 30 seconds, 1 minute maybe. So it just split it up into a lot of tiny pieces, and it just plays it like some GIF on your screen, and you can just scan it with your hardware wallet. It really feels cool.
Yeah, and it seems a lot safer too, because there is that worry you have when you're, especially on the smaller wallets, where you can't read the whole address and you're just not exactly comfortable with signing before you send, or copy and pasting addresses. Just being able to scan that QR code seems like, from a user experience perspective, a way to add a lot more confidence and certainty.
I mean, I just want to push back here a little bit. I'm also bullish on QR codes, but I think I don't think it's necessarily clear which one is if either is objectively better. If SD card, which is the other method for air gap transactions for the partially signed Bitcoin transactions, the PSBTs, and that's what Cold Card's using right now versus QR codes. You know, a couple things just on the opposite side that SD cards have going for them is they can carry more data. That's why you need to do like the animated QR code thing to be able to, you know, transfer the necessary amount of data you want to do. And as we do more complex transactions here with different multi-sig setups, that data is going to become more. And then the other thing is it's almost more transparent because you're literally dragging and dropping a file onto this SD card that you can like inspect the file. Like if a human when I look at a QR code, I have no idea what data is getting flashed in front of me in terms of like an animated QR code. So at least it's like a little bit more readable in that respect. And then the third thing is you don't actually have to move your signing device. So like I feel like something that we kind of glossed over here on this pod so far is that one of the cool parts about Specter is that it's really easy to use and get set up with a single hardware wallet, whether that be Specter DIY or whether that be Cold Card, a single hardware wallet. But then what's nice is without changing your software setup, you can easily create multi-sig wallets by just adding additional signers. So if you have a Cold Card, you can add a Specter DIY. You can add, you know, maybe a Blue wallet that's a signer as well, right? Because if they're using the same standard, you have an old phone and you add a Blue wallet. And so you can have certain signers that are QR code based, and you can have certain signers that are SD card based, and the combination of the two becomes very powerful because you stop having these certain central points of failure. And one thing that's been mentioned a lot with SD cards, just to bring us full back circle, is you can create a partially signed Bitcoin transaction on an SD card, and you don't actually have to bring your coordinator. So like in a Specter setup, let's say your coordinator is running Specter on your laptop and is also running a prune node. So it doesn't have that much storage capacity needs, and you're easily running a full node and you don't have to remotely connect to it. That's your coordinator. Let's say you have a signing device in some location that you need to go to. If you're using an SD card, you don't have to bring the computer with the node and the Specter coordinator on it. You can just put the partially signed Bitcoin transaction on an SD card, bring it to the signer device, stick it in the signer device, let's say it's a Cold Card, press sign, and then take the micro SD back to wherever your coordinator is. So it gives you a different level of flexibility. So you mix the two, you mix 3 different methods together, and you have some really cool shit.
Could you print out the QR code too and bring it?
Not if it's animated.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think you could, but it'd probably be like somewhat complex. You could also just take a video of that on your phone or something, and that could work too. And then just
you have to take a video of the other thing too.
Yeah, and then you just film the device after you sign. I personally did it, so so it's not ideal, but it works.
That's pretty crazy what we're thinking about here. Does this stuff ever get abstracted away, do you think?
I don't think it will completely get abstracted away because if you want complete air gap, then you can't really have that much convenience, I guess. There's a limit to that, I guess.
But you can make it a lot easier. That's what Specter did, basically. I think personal responsibility. Personal responsibility will always be the more difficult option. But like Specter makes it really, really fucking easy. And I want to go back kind of to like the prune node concept, because I think there's plenty of platforms, including Electrum, that provided you an easy way, a way to use your own node with your wallets if you had this dedicated node box that was running 24/7 at home or at your office. But what I noticed was a lot of people that travel a lot or don't have like a specific location, using their own node was basically untenable. There was no way for them to do it. They didn't have a set place. They can just leave a node, like a fully synced node, just always be able to access it via Tor. So this idea that you can simply run like a prune node on a laptop with Specter, less than 10 gigs of storage required, and you don't have to deal with remotely accessing anything. It's just all local. Like that's game changer, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really convenient, really easy. And prune nodes in specific are also great for just setting up users. So like something we had in Twitter, especially also discussing in the last few days, weeks, is this idea of there's Core's assume UTXO project, which is just a way to bootstrap a full node from a certain point in time. So it just starts with a certain UTXO set and continues from that. But what you can already do today is to just take a snapshot of a node that you have already, of some prune node that you're running. Stepan did it actually. He just posts it on some website on prunenode.today, something like that. And you can just download it, and in a few minutes you have a prune node ready to go. And also, and then after you do that, you can either continue using that. You can do your full rescan in the background, so to do a full IBD in the background or something. But the important thing is that in a few minutes you're up and running with a full node, which I think also is really great for us as a user experience thing. So first of all, you have. I think it just kind of somewhere between a light client and full node, with way more advantages than a light client. So it really reduces the requirements to just a few gigabytes, and it really it can shorten the time to just a few minutes. And the advantages are quite massive. So especially if you have another, like after 3-4 days, you finish a full regular IBD in the background, and you're a first-class Bitcoin citizen.
Yeah, I was looking for this tweet right now because this popped on my radar today because I randomly saw Mike Schmidt asking Stepan where to confirm the PGP key. Yeah, so all this stuff is fucking incredible.
So you have this idea that you talked about on Twitter. I think that's the tweet Marty's talking about, where the goal, I guess, instead of going the light client route, is you can simplify it even further, right? So right now you have to do that process, you have to install Core, then you have to download this file from Stepan. You should technically PGP verify it, which pretty much no users do. And then you'd have to manually replace the Bitcoin folder on your computer, which it might be. It adds another step. It adds another step that is a little bit complicated for users. And you mentioned this idea that you could package Core directly into Specter. So you just download this one app, and then when you load, it prompts, and you get to choose. I guess the default would be just to this prune mode, to this semi-trusted prune mode with the IBD in the background. They get ready to go in like 4 minutes, and advanced users can do differently. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. So I hope in to have the time to work on that. So the thing is just to add like a small wizard on launch, which just lets you choose between using your own remote node, like right now, or set up a new full node, a prune node, or a semi-trusted prune node, which would probably be the default option. And then just Specter will just download everything in the background, the signature check in the background, everything, and open up your full node, your Specter, everything in a few minutes, if you have some good internet connection. And then you're ready to go. And in a few days you finish IBD also. And you're ready to go instead of using like a much more trusted and much less privacy preserving light client.
So you mentioned assume UTXO possible to toggle on now? Or is that still, what's the status? I need to talk to James about this. I haven't talked to him in a while about assume UTXO.
Sorry, I didn't catch the sentence.
saying, what's the status of Assume UTXO? You brought that up.
Yeah, so I looked. I'm not really sure what the status right now. Actually, I think it's like under work, but it will probably take some time. As everything in core takes time. I think they will go with the idea, but I don't really remember what's the status, to be honest.
Yeah.
You don't even need Assume UTXO though to like get basically the same end result, right? With this trust idea, right?
The only difference is the trust between trusting Specter and Stepan or trusting the core devs. So if you're doing this, and obviously to have it in the core code, so it will be
more
nicer.
Standardized. Yeah.
Yes, and standardized. So it will be nicer, obviously, with Assume UTXO, but you essentially achieve the same thing with doing it this way with some Specter wizard.
Yeah, so you're just attesting that the state of the blockchain was this at a certain block height, and new users had to trust that that signature is truthful and that state is truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until IBD happens, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So IBD happens in the background.
Up and running right away.
Yeah.
And it's even less trust if it's a brand new wallet. Right? This only really works, I guess, for brand new wallets anyway. So
not exactly. You can use even an old wallet with just so we have this concept in Specter that you can either do a full rescan and then it will rescan through the whole blockchain, or you can just if you're importing a wallet, you can just do a UTXO rescan. So what this does, this just looks for the funds existing in the wallet, so it won't give you the full history, just your current UTXOs. Essentially what it does, it just scans the UTXO set, which even prune nodes have, and then in case it's prune node, if you have this the block which the UTXO is at, if you didn't prune it yet, then great, we don't need anything else. If you already threw it away with the pruning, so we will need the block data from somewhere. So we query it from a block explorer, which the user can select. I can use Tor with that, so it's less privacy problematic. So it's less great, but it still works even for old wallets.
Okay, sweet. Now it's crazy to see all this stuff come together and to be able to do this without having to get pushed into court too, which brings up like an interesting conversation of like who to trust trade-offs and all that stuff, which is interesting to see in the free market sort of route around the core process just to and users obviously trust it to a certain extent. What people don't talk about that much that often.
To be clear, for like a polished end user interface coordinator that Specter is, wallet, if you will, it relies on core more than pretty much any other, user-friendly tool. One of the cool part to me almost is the opposite. There is that you're able to use something that's polished, that has good UX, but that for most of the heavy lifting is just happening core in the background. Like you literally, when you use it, there's a watch-only wallet in core that if you open up Bitcoin Core, like it'll show your balances directly in Bitcoin Core.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will show the balances, the labels. So we use core when we can. Basically, the functionality in core itself is just so amazing. They have amazing functionality. The code is really well tested, but the UI is obviously not that great, and integrating hardware wallets, doing multisig, all this is just a pain with core. But the essential infrastructure for doing all that is already there. So with Specter, we are just taking advantage of all these great features which core already has. Yeah.
And they don't prioritize UI at Bitcoin Core. So let the market take it and run and put a UI on top of it and just plug in.
Yeah, I think it's a good decision on not to prioritize UI on core. I don't think this is something which should really take a priority when core should more focus on the consensus code.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's cool that you guys are just taking the ball and running with it. And so you guys are a small team, putting out some dope software. You're moving fast, releasing things. What do you guys have planned in the future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're a pretty small team. So there's me, Kim, Stepan, and Moritz. And we're probably so right now we hope to we're basically getting prepared to release the version 1 of Specter. We're just doing a few finishes, adding a new testing framework, and then probably still by the end of the month we'll release that. After that, we're still looking into some stuff. So I would really like to do this core wizard for setting up the node. We will probably also look into some maybe collaborative custody or something. So there are a lot of options, I guess, and we will still see. But there's so many stuff to work on, and since we're such a small team, there is always more work and stuff to do than capacity. So we'll always we'll see.
How can people help you guys out? What are you looking for? Or
so first of all, just feedback is always great. It's always very helpful for improving. We have the donation website for Specter. We have the Telegram group or Twitter where people can just reach out with questions, feedback. This is always actually really helpful. And yeah, that's and obviously if somebody is a developer, a designer, good with documentation, whatever, then this is always the best. It would be really useful to have more eyes on the code, more hands with it, some people looking at design, everything like that would be really awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy how much a small team like the one around Specter Wallet can push out. And like you said, like we mentioned, like you tweeted out what Matt set the challenge to what user-friendly multisig in 6 months. When was that? In June? And then you responded in September, and here we are in December. Matt, is it up to snuff with your threshold for user-friendly multisig UX?
Dude, it just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better. I'm extremely bullish on Specter. I mean, that even when I was a little bit cheating when I said the comment. If I was going to be a betting man, I was betting on it being Specter core combination. But I mean, even if you go back, like, when we had like our Lily episode or whatever, like you heard me in like the background, I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for Specter to drop. Yeah, no, I think we can make it easier. I think a lot of it's on the hardware wallet manufacturers as well, right? Because the cool part with multisig is that you can do, your multisig is only as good as what signing devices you bring to the table, and what your signing policy is. If you're going to do a 3 of 5, or you're going to do a 3 of 7, or a 5 of 7, or 2 of 3. And with Taproot, that should, make that more tenable too, to do different combinations, both privacy-wise and cost-wise. Because otherwise, you don't want to pre-Taproot. You don't want to stick out. If you do if you do a multisig that's not 2 of 3 or 3 of 5, you're very visible on chain. Even if you do one, you're hurting your privacy right now using multisig, because the total pool of multisig users is fucking abysmal. So these are things that are out of Specter's control. But besides that, they made the UX really fucking nice. I'm really looking forward to these prune node ideas. I think that's a game changer in terms of UX. I mean, I made my own guide for using Specter, which the freaks can find at werunbitcoin.com, but you could cut off like just in the ideas that Ben has talked about in this podcast, you can cut off like 12 of the 20 steps or 30 steps. Like you can cut off like half the guide if you just make it so core is built in, that it's automatically verifying updates and shit. Like you can, these little things, they might not seem like much to an advanced user, but if all of a sudden we went from the easiest thing for a new user is a phone wallet, a mobile wallet historically, to this being well within reach, I think, of most users. I don't think it's like that crazy to expect like a Peter McCormick to use Specter, especially if he gets core bundled in. You get core bundled in, and all he has to do is install Specter. Like that's fucking huge.
Hey, installing core is hard enough. Okay.
Yeah, I think when we get that, then probably that should make it really as easy as using the manufacturer's program. So if you can use a Trezor with Trezor's software, then you could probably use it with Specter too. And I think this is really awesome. I probably should try to go through your guide and see which steps I could try to cut off. That would probably be a good idea too.
Always looking to make everything more efficient. This guide is pretty. I just pulled it up too. It's pretty. It's not that long either. It's only 20.
That's what I'm saying. It's already easy, but we could
25
cut off,
steps.
We could cut off 10 steps right there. I mean, just the whole section that's install Bitcoin Core. You could just slash that whole thing off.
Yeah, and a lot of these steps are just setting up the hardware wallet.
That too.
Yeah. Looking that up. Yeah, this stuff's fascinating. So Ben, like, what else? Like outside of Specter, what are you looking at Bitcoin? Obviously, we mentioned Taproot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in? Are you in this for the tech? Are you in this for the revolution, or both?
Obviously both. So yeah, I think obviously working on Specter is really awesome. But I was focusing a lot before that. I was focusing a lot also on writing about the economics of it. I think Bitcoin is it's fascinating, and yeah, and I think the impact that it can have is obviously huge. I would say that for between like the technology is obviously super interesting with Taproot and everything. I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm really excited also in terms of what the next few years will bring with them in terms of actual impact on let's call it macro political trends in the more sovereign individual book way. So I think the difference that it could make for for people who really need censorship resistant money is very interesting to see. So I'm really excited to see how that will play out in the next few years.
How do you think it plays out? What is your vision of the future for this? You think we have big battles in front of us? Obviously, we've been talking about potential, what's it called, self-hosted wallet bans here in the United States.
Yeah. I hardly see that in the United States. Maybe in the United States, but probably in a few parts of Europe, we are already seeing that too. There's not much to talk about with China or a lot of nations are already. There's not much to talk about, even with hopes that it will be something legal. But yeah, I just think that. I think Bitcoin can obviously survive that, and people will still use that. But it will be really, really fascinating to see that in action. To see that states are trying to ban it and lose the battle. This would be like watching that would be amazing.
Yeah, what's the climate around Bitcoin regulation like in Israel right now? Pretty laissez-faire, right?
It's kind of positive, so it's quite heavily taxed, but there are no talks about banning it or banning self-hosted wallets or whatever. So I think it's kind of, as long as we can tax it, then we don't really care about this magic internet money of yours.
Yeah. Well, if it's taxed heavily, incentivizing hodling, thank you, Israeli government.
Yeah.
It is this. It'll be interesting to see. Like, again, just keep it on the current topic of self-hosted wallets potentially getting banned.
Stop using their terminology, please.
We're using it in a joking manner.
I know,
Matt.
but it doesn't even. It confuses me, so I feel like it confuses the listener because self-hosted, like, really should be like use your own node, right? I guess, like, if you're gonna even go self-hosted, like most people, they want to ban hosted wallets,
hardware wallets
that are self-custody, right? Like you can control your keys, but you're not running your own node. They want to ban nodes too.
This is where we're going to trip them up. Matt. Well, the point I was trying to get to, it is the whole jurisdictional arbitrage game that's starting to play out is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, like Israel, U.S. are pretty tight allies. Like why? Like I don't know why we would do this right now. It doesn't make any sense to me. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people will obviously start even to move from that. I think there will be, well, as nation states try to ban it, there probably quite a few Bitcoiners will go to the best jurisdictions. Yeah, that personally, I'm looking to move to a more Bitcoin-friendly jurisdiction, and it's always nice to see that others think the same, do the same.
Yeah, where's your citadel going to be?
I'm still not sure. So maybe Portugal, maybe I don't know. We'll see.
That was a trick question. You never reveal where your citadel's going to be.
Yeah, you only say like the fourth choice. Make it a little.
Yeah. But I have most of the world, most of the free world, whatever is still free from it as my choice. Wherever there is the least regulation at the time, I'll probably go there.
It is crazy to think about this. So, like this morning, I wrote about Drew Bunsol's. I read it, Matt. I know you didn't let us talk about it last night because we didn't read it. Is Bitcoin Astronomy Part 2. And the one thing I love about Drew in his astronomy series, particularly, is that it just paints like the potential that Bitcoin enables for humanity to strive for. In Part 2, talking about the Kadashev cycles, like taking us from Type 1 to Type 2. Taking us from between Type 0 and Type 1 first, and then up the scale. It's so crazy when we're sitting here talking about these stupid regulations, and we're not allowed to focus on like what Bitcoin enables and how far it can take humanity. Like imagine what we could do in our lifetimes. Like I think this will eventually happen at some point, but imagine if we were just able to run with this without any handcuffs. I'm just ranting now.
No, the more we help, the more it helps to defend the state, to defend mass war, mass surveillance, everything. The more it defends the states and help people get control over resources, the better humanity will develop.
Yeah, that's why Matt last night, like the dichotomy of being pissed off about the potential self-host ban, and the number go up headlines with like Mass Mutual dumping 100 million in. Now we got Michael Saylor buying 550 million more. That liquidity is necessary to help us get to the point where we want to fight the state effectively. So it's like you have this yin and yang of like the crazy cypherpunks and all the people with all the money.
I mean, it's frustrating, right? Like it's super frustrating that progress will be way slower just because, you know, it's being actively limited and fought against. And anyone who's trying to launch a company in this space, regardless of the jurisdiction they're in, is just constantly thinking in the back of their head, like at any moment, my own government can just, you know, make my life fucking hell.
Yeah. but that's why we have Bitcoin in the first place, because that's the original purpose of Bitcoin, to prevent from the state from being able to turn the life of everybody miserable. So that's a fight we're fighting.
Give peace a chance, you evil governments. Give freedom a chance. If only. If only. What else is going on? We got to wrap up here soon, so I got to hop on a call. But
I want to know your thoughts on Lightning.
Ooh, I like that question.
Yeah, Lightning, I think it's quite promising. It's really, really nice to play with, obviously, but it's still, at least in my opinion, it's still not there. In terms, it's so instant transactions right now. It's not that critical as long as fees are still low. And for now, I mean, probably in a year or two, if we get like a crazy bull market or something, then it will probably be a really big deal. But until we get something which really necessitates people to use Lightning, I don't find it that urgent or anything, I'd say. So obviously it's very interesting to play with, very interesting technology, and very important as infrastructure for the probably very near future. But it's still not at the point where we really need to use it right now, I guess.
Hey, you got to hop in our Sphinx tribe, all right? Start using it every day. Well, I agree. There's no urgency to get like the instant transaction settlement, low fee transactions immediately. It is pretty cool what it's enabling, particularly in the Sphinx app
really
and other
cool.
things.
Other things like the gaming. Cool. I think it's just, it doesn't seem, so I don't myself spend a lot of time on that because I don't find it like a very big priority for Bitcoin right now, to be honest. But it's really super cool. I'm excited every time I see a transaction going through in Lightning in a few seconds. I'm like, whoa, this is super cool. But it's more like until the fees really justify it, it's kind of more like playing and getting ready, kind of. It's not the prime time yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. You have to prioritize accordingly. And I think what you're working on is a very high priority. The UX around custody is very important, something that's been knocked on all of Bitcoin's history. That's actually one thing I wonder about Lightning too, is it's something that could be potentially too early, which is why I like to see apps like Sphinx and the gaming stuff pop up, because it is fun to play with those. It is useful. But again, in terms of priority and urgency, I think it falls further down the list, which is, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to admit that, right?
Okay, it's really okay, and it's really, really cool. And I think in a few years we'll probably have much more of that, and it will be even more awesome. But yeah, it just comes to priorities and to the what's best to do now, to get done right now.
Yes. Well, thank you for working on a high priority issue.
Yeah, thank you
fun?
for doing that.
Do you have fun?
Sorry?
Do you have fun doing it?
Yeah, obviously. I'm only doing this for fun. I've been doing this for since March, and it's really just for fun. So I do this on my free time as an open source developer. So obviously I wouldn't do this if it wasn't really, really fun to do that. But yeah, I'm really, it's a hell of a journey, and it's really great.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun. This is all fun. This is all good fun. Matt, are you having fun?
I'm looking forward to one day meeting Ben in person. I'm
as well.
It's
when are we gonna make this happen, Ben?
I'm honored that you listened to the show, and I appreciate your fucking work tremendously. And I also think it's very unique that you're both a talented dev and a very effective Twitter shit poster on Bitcoin Twitter. So it's an honor to be by your side.
You are a very good Twitter shit poster.
Yeah, I try. I guess it's maybe it's because I'm much younger than most other developers, so I'm more into this shit posting stuff. But yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot, but how old are you, Ben?
I'm soon going to be 20, real soon.
Oh my God, you're only 19.
Yeah, yes,
I didn't even realize this. It always shocks me when I have somebody on the podcast who's younger than my sister, because I still view her as like a kid. And it's like, oh my God, 19. So you're a Zoomer.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
No.
All right, good.
Absolutely.
You're fighting the good fight. We need inside Zoomers to fight the TikTok battle.
Yes, you need inside Zoomers. I'm definitely not one of them. I really don't understand this TikTok thing.
Do you have faith in your fellow Zoomers?
With some, but not enough.
Not enough.
I mean, not enough because so many of them use this TikTok bullshit thing, and I'm disappointed with that.
All the generations have that shit. A little advice from me: don't let anyone ever talk shit about your generation. You're only allowed to talk shit about your generation within your generation. Millennials can talk shit about millennials, but if a Zoomer said something about it or a Boomer said something about millennials, I would just tell them to go fuck off. And I just think I'm very bullish on our Bitcoin Zoomers. I think we have a good class there.
Yeah.
I am as well. I didn't pass any judgment. I just asked about TikTok and asked.
I know it was a self-inflicted wound. You asked him about his generation. He negged them.
Yeah, no, the Bitcoin Zoomers are awesome, obviously.
Yeah. Shout out to all of our Bitcoin Zoomers out there. I hope we're not grouchy millennials in your eyes.
Old men.
Old men. Hey, I'm still clinging on to my 20s. Ben, thank you for your time. I know it's getting late where you are. I don't want to ruin your Friday night.
Yeah. Anyway, everything is closed with this all the voltage situation, so there's nothing really to do anyway.
I'm curious about that. What's the situation like over there right now?
Right now, right now there are just general limitations. I think they're finishing reopening and getting back to closing stuff. But it's really hard even to follow anymore, to be honest. It's crazy. So there was supposed to be a nighttime curfew, and I think they canceled it in the last minute, like a few hours before it started or something. And it's a mess. We'll probably have in a few weeks another full lockdown, but it's a complete mess. So it's hard to follow it. But I like to stay and code and stuff anyway, so that's fine.
Well, yeah, it's crazy. It's mad. Hopefully this madness ends soon.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. We're going on a year. We're going on a fucking year. We're gonna be a year locked down. What happened to 2 weeks? We don't have to turn this into a COVID podcast. People get angry when we do that.
Well, at least we got Bitcoin.
That's true.
Yeah.
For now, at least. Ben, thank you for your time. Thank you for your work. I want to echo what Matt said. Really appreciate what you're working on. It's an important problem that is making Bitcoiners' lives better, and it's crazy that you're 19 and contributing in this fashion. Blows my mind. I wish I was as productive as you were at that age. Matt, do you have anything you want to wrap it up with?
Appreciate you, dude. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, and thank you for shitting on Raoul Paul for me last night.
One of the best shit posters in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, your brain on fiat's not well. Hey, Raoul. I will offer an olive branch, but I'm not you just can't pretend you're trying to educate people. This is I discovered Bitcoin, I'm here to fix it type thing. It's seen it too many times before.
2016-17 blockchain hype bullshit all over again, just with much bigger players, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny how the cycle repeats itself. It's inevitable. We need to resign ourselves to that fact. It's inevitable that the cycle repeats.
Yeah, I think so. It seems like it. Because I remember how I saw like the Bitcoin maxes that we have here in Israel when I just started. So 2016, 2017. I remember talking with Udi, with other maximalists here, and I was like, no, this is blockchain technology. It's going to make a huge difference. And then I finding myself right now in their position, talking to somebody who's just joining like a few months ago and trying to explain them, no, focus on Bitcoin. So I guess I now understand them, and so if I understand them and then I'm experiencing it too, then it's probably an inevitable cycle for now.
Yeah, but Raul doesn't get a pass because he's been here for a fucking while.
No, he's been here for a fucking while, and he's making money from selling shitcoins to people, so
educating people. He's educating people. He's not selling them. He's educating.
Yeah, he's educating them for a small subscription fee, and I don't know whatever he gets from Ripple or whatever other shitcoins, if he gets anything from it.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially from Ripple, those scammers. That's all we got, freaks. We gotta end it. Unfortunately, I have to go to a call. We can sit here for hours. Ben, as Matt said, I can't wait till we can meet in person. I'll buy you an illegal beer, likely illegal, depending on where we are.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't take 2 years.
It's illegal yet, right? So
Well, the drinking age is 18 in
21,
Israel.
right?
Oh, is it?
No, in the US, what is it?
Oh, it's 21.
It's 21.
Yeah, so 21. Yeah, but in Israel it's 18. Everywhere in Europe, I think also it's 18. So, yeah. Well, they recruit you to the army in 18 here. So you're if you're holding a gun, you can probably hold a beer. So.
Yeah, not the case here. They recruit you at 18 years. You're not allowed to drink.
21 in the US?
No, it's 18 for the army, but
What?
21 for drinking. Yeah. And
Okay,
it's 16.
this
It's 16 to go to jail as an adult.
Yeah.
Just to fuck with you.
Yeah. A little ass backwards here in the land of the free. Ben, thank you. Matt, thank you. I hope you two gentlemen enjoyed the rest of your Friday. That's all we got this week, freaks.
It was awesome. Thanks for inviting me. It was great.
Hey, can't wait to have you back again. Peace and love, freaks.